Okay. So today's talk is on the Ten Commandments. Very interesting. When was the last time you did a study of the Ten Commandments? Anyone? A study. Okay. When was the last time you read the Ten Commandments? When was the last time you obeyed the Ten Commandments? Okay. So don't be afraid. But the Ten Commandments is not to subjugate us, but to release us. Okay. I hope people online can hear this. These things are important. Maybe I'll bring you down here, just in front here. Yeah, it's okay. They need to hear more than see. Alright. Audio is okay? If you have a Bible, let's quickly turn to Exodus chapter 20. Okay, we'll breeze through it. What's the time? Let's do a time check. I don't know. 5:30. So 5:30. Okay. Stop me at around 5:30. If there's more, we'll do next time. Okay. Exodus chapter 20. Exodus chapter 20. I have a friend who has memorized this thing since she was a child. The whole family, all of them have memorized it. So they just go, it's amazing. And in that sense, just train your children when you marry, when you have kids, from a young age to memorize scripture. So they can memorize it. Later they will understand and appreciate it. But it's good to have it in brain. Yeah, so do that. Children can learn very fast. And they have no qualms about learning, memorizing. So, okay. So first thing is, and God spoke all these things. Now, what is the reference point? What is the beginning point of the law, of anything in life? It says, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt and out of the land of slavery. Now, this is the reference point. Okay. So when Moses came and gave the commandments, he didn't say, I am Moses, I am giving this law. Right? I have come from that mountain, and from that mountain the law has come. We have been through this, all of us, we've been through this. So I have, we have discussed, we had a committee and they've come together with us. The point is, it starts from God. Knowledge, or this command, this direction for life comes from God Himself. Okay? That is why He's saying, I am the Lord. Number one, your God. Number two, yes, I am Lord of the universe. Of all creation, I am the Lord. But I am also your God. Now He's personalized it, taken it to the next level. Now, not some random God out there, like Baal or Asherah or whatever during those days, even today. I don't know if you don't compare to religions, but in many other religions, God is a distant being that you have to pursue, you have to hunt, you have to appease, you have to satisfy, you have to offer sacrifices, you have to ring bells, so that they give attention to you. They're in their own world doing stuff, but you have to pursue them and hunt them down. Or they're benevolent, as in they are hurting you, they're harming you. So you give them sacrifices so that they don't harm you. Many religions, many faiths are like that. To keep them away, like mafia, keep them away. To pay protection money, and they stay away from you. But this God is not only the God of the universe. He approaches you. That's the first thing we need to realize. He's the one who seeks us out. He was the one who searches for us. And what did He do? Number 3, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. Okay? He is the one who delivered you out of a land of life of slavery, hopelessness and meaninglessness, out of bondage. That is what He's done. Not only is He the God above creator, for which He deserves glory anyway. Number 2 is, not only is He come and search for us and pursue us, for which He deserves more glory, but He's also saved us from slavery. Okay. Not only in Egyptian context, but all of us were slaves. Wasn't it? All of us are slaves to not only sin, but also to hopelessness, to fear, to a meaningless life. But what has He done? He's brought us out of slavery, out of Egypt, out of land of slavery. This is why. That's the reference point. This is why you must obey what I'm telling you. Remember this. Because I am a good God. That's the reference point. I have done everything because I'm good, and now what I'm telling you is good. Remember this. It is good. Before this, if you read Genesis, before this, the whole chapters, He says the man did whatever he saw good in his own eyes. He had conscience, yes, but there was no distinct law. He could do whatever he wanted per se. No rules, no regulations. Murder, slaughter, sleep with anyone you want, marry whomever, how many you want. Do whatever you want. Jacob cheated. No real punishment against his guys. Esau, whatever happened, they did whatever they want, and it was kind of loose hanging around. But now God says that because I love you, I want to set good boundaries for you. Remember this, even as a parent. Because we love our kids, we set boundaries for them. Don't leave the gate. Don't eat that. Don't drink this. Don't lift this. Don't this and that. Don't talk to strangers. Don't put your finger into electric plugs. So we have to, be very specific in our direction because of love. It's not because of our hatred. In fact, if we hate someone, we'll just leave them. We'll just walk out. Let them do whatever we want. Leave them to their devices. But God so loved the world that He gave us a system. And He revealed His will to us. He revealed Himself to us. So that is why we have the 10 commandments. That is the beginning of 10 commandments. Now, number 3, verse 3 is the first one. He says, "You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourselves any idol in the form of anything in heaven, above or on earth, beneath or in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children of the sin for the sin of the fathers to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments." Now remember, if you notice this, he says, don't make any forms in heaven or above the heaven or under the water or anything. Because remember Neptune, for example, the god of the ocean, Zeus, Thor, god of thunder and the sky and storms. Point is, these are not gods. These are at the most ideas, philosophies, or demons. Okay? And these are not gods. These are not the gods that made you, the gods that love you, the gods that have a good hope and plan and purpose for your life. They are not God compared to true God. And that is why the word jealous, righteous jealousy is very important. Because He has every right to be jealous. Somebody asked me, why is God jealous? Isn't jealousy a sin? No, jealousy is not a sin, especially if it is righteous. God cannot sin. So if God is jealous, there's something to take from that. For example, I'm married to my wife, right? If some guy points an eye at him, I won't be jealous. I have every right to be jealous, and that is righteous jealousy. Because she is mine. God has not only made us, He has died for us, He has created everything for us. So He has every right to be jealous, especially if a false lover, if a thief, a robber, a bandit, a deceiver comes and tries to take away our attention. And that's why He says over here also that He will punish up to 3. And look at it, even in His punishment, His grace. He says only up to 3 to 4 generations. I mean, that's sad in a way that He does punish, and He has to punish 3 to 4 generations. But He says 1,000 generations for those who love Him. So God deserves all the glory. Nothing else can come close to Him. That is why He deserves our full and utter love and respect. Okay? So that's the first commandment. Next one is very closely connected. You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses His name. Now many people have mixed us up, right? Many people have doubts about it. You know what the doubts are? Yeah? If I say in the word, if somebody smashes into my car and I say, "Oh God," right? Is that this context? What does it actually mean? Do not use the name of the Lord in vain. The point is, okay, for example, the closest thing will come is like the jihadis. Okay? They kill people in the name of God. They have dishonored the name of God. You understand? They've slaughtered people. Even the Crusaders, in the 10th century and all that, they kill people in the name of God. Killing people, someone randomly, that's another thing. It's between you and that person. Murdering someone, slaughtering, raping, looting, fine. But if you bring God into the picture and you bring down the name of God because of your filthy behavior and attitude, that is what this is about. So dishonoring the name of God. In fact, that is why in this century, in this past few centuries, there's so many atheists and anti-God. Because of what's happened in the past centuries. For centuries, people using the name of God have abused people. So now the people are completely turned against God. And those are the kind of people who will face this extra special punishment from God, who are misusing the name of God. Not because of randomly saying, oh God, oh I hit my foot, oh God, kind of thing. But because you brought down the honor and dignity and the holiness of God's name and done filthy things with it and turned people's heart against God. That is what this is basically about. Okay. Next is remember the Sabbath by keeping it holy. Now this is very precious. Okay? 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but 7 days is Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you nor your sons, nor daughters. Now what is this? Now remember this. For since the creation of the world, or since man left the Garden of Eden, the Sabbath day was not kept holy. In every culture, People constantly work. There was no concept of resting because people became instruments of labor for productivity. You understand? It got flipped. People for generations just work, 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 and forced animals to work, 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 because human beings are not dignified anymore. In that context of Egypt, when they were slaves in Egypt, slaves don't get holiday. They got no break. Even if you're sick, you got fever, you got a broken leg, you still work. If you don't, you're guilty. So what happened is when God restored his Israelites and us out of this land of slavery, He gave us Sabbath rest. What it does is it means He's uh, given us dignity back as human beings. We are made in the image of God. We deserve dignity. We remember that the days when productivity and nature and resources were made for us. You get my drift? Example, Nagaland. Okay, I'm from Nagaland. So when the missionaries first came and the people first believed in Christ, they were kind of forced to have the 7 day Sabbath. Okay, Sabbath days, seasons, all that. Weeks started, and for us, it's actually accounted. It was so alien to us that we didn't know what it was. Yeah, our people. But then they started following the Sabbath. Like 7th day, they would rest, and then they actually confessed that yes, because of the 7th day of rest, not only us but even our animals and our crops and our everything is doing so much better because we have rested, and we're able to not only rest our bodies but also have time for family. Remember this, time for family and friends and relatives, and for society also can thrive in this environment because instead of working in the field all the time, you can sit down and discuss, and if there's problems, issues, enmity, bitterness, unresolved issues, we can sit and talk and discuss and resolve it there and then. Whole day is given to us, So, and also, yes, you will have time to spend with the Lord. Because 7 days a week, 6 days a week, most of us are busy, completely occupied. We don't even have time to have proper quiet time, But that special day is set aside when we not only have our own quiet time, but we can sit together like this and talk about the Word of God and gain strength and refreshment. So, the concept of Sabbath was also very unique. Another example is, I think, during the French Revolution and the Russian Revolution, they cancelled Sabbath, or rather they extended to 10 days. One of them made it 10 days long. Instead of 7 days, they made it 10 days long. And then they realized after a few months that not only people were suffering, but even animals started suffering. All the horses and donkeys and all that were getting sicker and sicker because the 7 day thing is actually biologically set into our whole system. So it's something more to do with science, but also history has shown that we actually need rest. Our bodies, our minds, our spirits need rest. So yes, this is a blessing from God, and we should pursue it, and enjoy it. So next one. And on it you shall not do any work, neither nor your sons or daughters, nor your man servant or maid servant. This is another extension. Okay, nor your animals, nor the alien within your city. For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven and the earth and the sea and all that is in them, but He rested on the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Now this is even an extension. Okay? That, by the way, remember, in biblical context, slavery, from what we understand in context of modern slavery, where you kidnap a person, a prisoner of war, and put them into lifelong bondage or abuse, is definitely wrong. But in Jewish culture and in many cultures, people would what's the word? Bonded slavery, bonded labor. Okay, so bonded labor was allowed, where indentured labor, right? So, for example, I owe him 50 lakhs. I can pay. So what I do is I say that I will work for you for say 5,000 rupees a day for the next so many years. So till that amount is paid off, I am yours. Which technically is just labor. It's employment. Just that instead of giving him cash, I'm giving my strength. So from that context, it is legal, it is fine. Because also he will not abuse me. Because why would I abuse myself? Why would I abuse my horse, which I need all the time to do my work? If I abuse my horse dies, my work suffers. So from that context, even the Sabbath rest also gives dignity to the people under your care, the servants or slaves or whatever you want to call it. Even animals. So see, this is the grace of God. It frees us. This is what the 10 Commandments did. Because if you look in the negative of it, it wasn't possible before. There was no law. Everybody worked and slaved, with no family time, with no free time, with no nothing. This is the culture they came out of. Okay? Next. Honor your father and mother, so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. Now, This one is very specifically to a set of people. It doesn't say honor your grandmother, your uncle, your school teacher, your pastor, maybe, but something very specific about honoring your father and mother. Because your parents, are, number one, is they gave birth to you. Plus, also, another element is when, they give stability to society. Okay? God creates a society, a structure in the whole universe. And not only are your father and mother a representative in the sense of God Himself, because God, they are the parents, they are the God that you can see in a way. So when you honor them, you also honor God. Not only because He came from them, but they also are like a copy of God whom He came out of. And if you submit yourself to them and you learn how to submit, understand this. This is also a very important principle of leadership. To the degree that you submit, to the degree that you honor, you yourself will be honored. You yourself will be submitted to by others. To the degree that you are humble and subservient to the next, you know what I mean? And sincere and patient and gracious, and you can do that, then God will bless you and honor you with people who will minister to you from that level. You see that cycle, it's a cycle of repetition. It's a model for us to follow. Yeah. And honor is a big word. It's not just respect. It's just not love. Honor is you give them number one priority. You treat them with uttermost respect. Listen to what they say. Don't raise your voice at them. In fact, okay. So one of my Bible college principals, he's an old man. That time he was like 60 something, and some American guests came to the house. In their 40s or something, and there was a little boy, and they were having lunch, and so this young person says, "Graham, please pass the peas." He was like, "What?" Because this boy is like 5 years old, and he didn't say uncle, sir, pastor, could you please? He just said his name is Graham. He passed away recently. He says, "Graham, please pass the peas." There's like a 60-year-old grandfather, so he got shocked. And when you think about it, but even in this most casual of American cultures, they at least call their mom and dad, mom and dad. Think about this. Somehow they haven't let go of that. They haven't called their dad, "Hey, David." I can't even think about it. I can't call my dad's name David. I can't call him that. Even, it's unimaginable. But it's so ingrained and so important because to the degree that which we respect our parents, we will learn to respect other people also and dignify them. So, in short, this is a very key section of the key 10 commandments. Okay, now you shall not murder. The next one is you shall not murder. What does that mean? What is murder? Somebody? How many have got King James version by the way? What does it say? Is it NKJV or KJV? NKJV, New King James or Old King James? D down? So N. Okay, good. So what has happened is, first of all, there are many translations of the Bible. Not only in different languages, but in English. Within in English, there are many translations. And in a way, sadly, King James Version, which is one of the most popular Bibles, originally said, "You shall not kill, thou shalt not kill." Now, if you take that passage or that translation, that is not biblical. Killing, for example, if I hit a cow and he dies, or if a brick falls on somebody and he dies, that's accident. Or killing in war, like Ukraine and Russia is happening right now. Killing in war context, it's allowed, it's permissible, or rather, it is not seen as murder. Murder is the deliberate, vengeful, or hateful planning, drawn out process of deliberately killing this person because you hate this person, or for money or whatever it is. Somebody has paid money for him to be killed, but because he hates maybe he's such a popular guy that I want a Gillette contract. Something like that. So you want something out of him. You want something. You want him to move because he's offended you or he's got somewhere in your life. So murder, yes, it is very wrong because it is the destruction of human life, and that, by the way, is about human life. You can't kill a dog and say that's murder. Okay, it's about because we are made in the image of God. Okay, and we are not only sentient beings, but we are made in the image of God. That's what gives us our infinite value. And when you murder somebody made in the image of God, that is murder. Yeah, deliberate vengeful, hateful murder. That, of course, is forbidden. And why is it important? Because in the context of those days, murder was, you could kill anybody. If somebody, your servant spilled your tea, you kill him. Nobody cares. It was very easy to kill anybody for any stupid reason, and there was no law against it. Okay, and oh, by the way, coming back to 12, honor your father and mother. This is very important. Okay, I missed this out, but I must tell you, so that you may live long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. Now, this is the only one with a direct blessing. That was not really mention any blessing, but this is the only one that mentions a blessing. So, by the way, my brothers and sisters, if you have honesty right now, if you have problems in your life, okay, you have health problems, financial problems, educational problems, something problem, one of the reasons is maybe you're not honoring your father and mother, and that's why blessing has been blocked from your life. Now, think about it. You need time to meditate on that. Okay, examine your life. If you're dishonored, which is basically, if you look at the logic, if you have dishonored your father and mother consistently in any way, and the result will be there will be some problem in your life. A curse will be upon you. Okay? So, which means you find it, repent it, confess it, and then now see the blessing of God. God is true. If you honor your parents, they will honor you. God will honor you. God will bless you. Everything will fall into place. Test the Lord and say, examine this. Okay, I will have a testimony from this, but we're running out of time, so I'll tell you this story one day. Okay, do not murder, you shall not commit adultery. Now, in those days again, why adultery? Okay, many concepts of adultery, but basically it's talking about adultery in marriage. Adultery basically means what? In basic English, it means adding something. Adding something that shouldn't be there. That's what it means. Adding something that shouldn't be there. We adulterate milk, put water. We adulterate sugar, put this, that. So what it does is, generally in context, it poisons that element. So when you see, remember this, human marriage, okay, is an image of the marriage that God has once with us as human beings. Understand? So God has, to show how intimately He wants to be with us, He has given us marriage. Because we will not truly understand what it means to be intimate with God and one with God unless we have some role models on it. You see, some sample on it. And that is the closest sample that God has given us, is marriage. And also marriage is the foundation of society. Not only a random society, but a dignified, healthy, wholesome society. And the moment you adulterate it, like Satan in the Garden of Eden adulterated the marriage between God and human being, God is going to come and destroy that. He hates it. So God has said that adultery is forbidden. Okay, it is forbidden and it is hated by God. So, because it not only destroys God's plan for human beings to have that pure form or relationship, but also the image He has, plus also it destroys society at large. It affects, it affects the children, it affects the relatives, it affects the company, organization, church. I know because of divorce or adultery, is led to divorce, maybe, or separation or estrangement. People leave the church, and what happens is they go out and they get dry and they, have meaningless lives. So, point is, marriage is pure. Marriage is important for many reasons. So, and why is it mentioned here? Because before that, you could do whatever you want, and that's the beauty of the Ten Commandments. It gives us beautiful boundaries that didn't exist before. Okay, you shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. Very, very interesting, because one thing it does is, you are violating someone when you steal. Remember this. It's not an act of stealing itself. You are also violating someone. Because if I own the shirt, in a sense, by extension, it is part of me. You violate me. You take away what is mine without asking or buying from me. So when you violate another human being, that is sin. You offend someone. He has worked so hard to earn this phone, for example. If I steal it from him, all his hours of labor is put into earning that money, is put into this, and all the phone numbers and all that stuff, I've hurt him a lot. I've taken away his investment. So from that context of violating his being, and all the sweat and blood is put into, is what it is about. And of course, every sin is against God, because He belongs to God. If I sin against Him, I'm sinning against God. Just like if I break this phone, it's not about the phone, I'm hurting Him. So by extension, stealing also, in any sense. So be it copyright issues, piracy, But God is logical. Remember, there's a difference between stealing A4 sheet of paper from office as compared to stealing a car, So anyway, we'll go into this minute detail, but basically, as much as possible, stay away from such things. Okay. Do not give false testimony against your neighbor. What does that mean? Do not give false testimony against your neighbor. Do not give false testimony against your neighbor. Do not lie. Do not gossip. Do not slander. Now, what is slander? Is hatefully, saying. It's not like saying, "Oh, this guy." Example. He doesn't shave. Okay, fine. But he doesn't shave because he's got this scabies under his face. And if so I'm telling him, his neck. And if he shaves, he's got this big scar. Not that he's got anything over there, But maybe because I'm jealous that if he shaves, all the girls will go after him, Point is, what is intention and motivation, and what is the method you're using? So what has happened now? Everybody thinks that nobody must touch him because his beard is full of fleas. He's got a dandruff flying, so nobody's going to come around. He smells. So what happens is snowballs. That is called slander because you want to hurt him. You want to really destroy him. So when you slander someone, when you bear false witness, you are destroying the person of God. So in that sense, you are sinning against God. And that used to happen in a lot of cultures. Why I'm telling you this? Why is it there? Because it used to happen. It still happens. So point is, do not slander. In that extension, do not gossip. Do not exaggerate. Do not even undermine. Do not say too much. Do not say too little. So it has to be honestly and true and balanced. Okay. You shall say false testimony. You should not covet. Now this one is one of the only commandments that goes to your mind. See, everything else you notice is about action, right? You do it. Don't do this or do this. But this one is about the mind. It's about thought. Now, even God asks that your thought be pure. Says, you shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife or his manservant or maidservant, his donkey or ox or anything that belongs to your neighbor. Covet. I remember once one of my senior DBF pastor again. He invited a family over to his house for dinner. Okay? And they have this old cook who used to do excellent cook. So after dinner, when they were all having things, the wife sneaked into the kitchen and said, "Hey, will you vote for me?" How much did they pay? So and literally that is coveting, and that's she went ahead and said, So coveting servants, yes, it does happen. Companies steal people, they do this and that, whatnot. But the point is, it's okay to say, my great pair of jeans, great house, great car you've got, great job you've got. Nothing wrong in appreciating and admiring and wanting something similar, right? But the point is, when you want that particular one, that's what covetousness. I want that pair of pants. I want his job. I want his wife. I want his car. That particular car. That's when it's called covetousness. And how do I get it? If I can't buy it off him, I'm going to beat him and take it out of him. That's where it goes to that level. So, point is, you should be satisfied with what you have. The point is, be satisfied number one what you have. Number two is, if you see someone with good things, then it should drive you, encourage you, inspire you, and ask God for you to receive the same thing. Instead of you wanting the same thing, that just goes with the unhealthy. How? Because you think that God doesn't want the same blessing for you. That's what you're saying. God doesn't want to bless you, or God cannot bless you. That's what basically people say when they covet after someone else, or that God has got something better for me. You understand? That's what covetousness is. I want the exact same thing because if I don't, I will not get anything else. I have to do it by myself. You see, there's this old quote. It says, "God helps those who help themselves." Have you heard it? It's by Benjamin Franklin. It's not in the Bible. Okay? And if you know him, he was a Freemason, it seems. Yeah? They're not Christians. Freemasons are not Christians. And many people believe in as a philosophy. And his philosophy is all over the world. But it's not from God. It's not in the Bible. God doesn't. In a way, yes, God will help if you work towards it and all that. But if it's not God's will, if it's not God's plan, then you'll find yourself fighting against God's will. You'll be in a life of frustration, a life of empty covetousness. And these are the boundaries that God has set for us. This is what the Ten Commandments is about. Okay. And yes, these are very good guidelines and instructions, but the other thing I want to say about the Ten Commandments is we all know we will fail. Like lying. Where is lying from? Lying is way up there. Okay. And Jesus also said that if you hate someone, you've already committed murder. Jesus made it even harder in the New Testament, right? If you even look at a woman lustfully, you have committed adultery. He's now brought the whole sin into the mind. You don't even have to commit adultery or murder someone or steal from someone. You just think it and you've done it. Now Jesus has made it even harder if you think about it. Why has he made it harder? You think? So that he can cover all of it. You see? So first thing is remember, God loves us and he made us for us. But because of sin, he cannot be with us. But he's given us guidelines, the Ten Commandments, to show us that if we want to be with him, we have to follow the Ten Commandments because that's his standard. And what's happened? We have not been able to follow the Ten Commandments because we are sinners. We sin, remember this, we sin because we are sinners. We are not sinners because we sin. We're not sinners because we sin. We are sinners, that's why we sin. So this commandment basically, in a sense, just keeps proving to us that we are sinners. And thus, in a sense, indirectly, it points to us that we need Jesus. That's why Jesus had to come, had to die, and that's why we have to believe in him and receive his sacrifice, gratefully, receive his gift and be saved. And now, with his Holy Spirit, with the commandment of God, he will give us insight and wisdom and understanding and the ability to be pure and holy, at least, to an extent, till we enter the kingdom of heaven. And that is guaranteed. So that is, in short, is what the Ten Commandments is about. Are you encouraged? Yeah. Yes. And apply. By the way, again, let me ask. Just because we now have Christ in us, doesn't mean we stop following the Ten Commandments. Remember this. Just because we are now saved, doesn't mean we stop obeying the Ten Commandments. In fact, down with the Spirit of God within us, and the community of God, and the Word of God, we apply it even more forcefully. And we have even more strength and ability to apply it. You see? Now, what happens? We will now honor God even more. We will have no other gods, be it bad habits, be it idols. What are idols? Not only demon worship, Ram, Lakshman, whatever, but bad habits, or love for money, even fear can be a demon, can be an idol. Some of us are afraid of things so much that becomes an idol. Because what does it mean to be an idol? It rules us. We make a choice of decisions based on what it thinks over us. Yeah. Next one is what? No idols, not misuse the name of God. Of course, now we're in Christ, we will not dishonor the name of God. Now, many people, there's one particular school, let me say, there was one principal who was very fierce. He was a Christian, but he was so fierce that many students of him hated God because of him. There are cases like that. I heard testimonies. They said, "We don't want to hear about God because this man of God talks about God but beats us up and does this to us." But what happens is now that we have the Spirit of God, we will not do these things. Every day we will become holy and pure and be more sanctified. Not misuse name. Sabbath is one thing that we all need to work on. Even I need to work on. Just now as I was driving, I was thinking about Sabbath. I need a day. We all need a day where we just sit down at home and just not focus on work and labor, but on family, community, and the Word of God, and rest our bodies. Honoring our father and mother. Yeah, all of us need some level in that examination. Murder, yes, murder in thought, no more hatred. Somebody's lied, sinned against you, some teacher, some friend. You love, you forgive too. No adultery in your thought even. No stealing, no false testimony, no covetousness at all. God can and will help you as you walk with Him. And that is the beauty and joy and fulfillment of the Ten Commandments in Christ Jesus. Okay? Are you up for time? Oh, perfect time. Praise the Lord.